We have it, Mr. Vinnie Tortorich. What's cool about Vinny is he's Hollywood's go-to guy for fitness and weight loss. He's actually been in LA now for over 20 years and has been coined America's Angriest trainer. Vinny's also the author of a terrific book called Fitness Confidential, and I really enjoy it. In fact, was reading it up on my rooftop deck here in Spain this morning, and just found it really funny as well as a lot of great information. So, Vinny, welcome to the show, and how's everything today?
Dan, thanks for having me, man. This is great, and everything is great. I don't know if you can see out the windows behind me, but we're finally getting rain. We've been in a drought here in Southern California for, I think, about 30 years. And it's raining. And it's funny because Serena just walked in from a 12-mile run and she was drenched. So, everything is great in LA. We won't burn to death anymore. We have rain. So I'm very happy today.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. You know, Spain is similar problems. Very dry this year, but we've been a lot of rain in the last 2 weeks. So that's good to reduce the forest fires there as well as here. So awesome.
I thought that the rain falls mainly on the plain in Spain, right? Is that how it goes, or
that's the famous one of the famous lines, but it's also incorrect because most of the rain actually goes to the coastal areas, and that's because it blows in. Storms come from the ocean,
right,
and they hit the mountains on the west coast of Spain. So the highest rainfall is in the northwest, and the second highest is in the southwest.
Well, that normally happens, as you know. Los Angeles is right on the Pacific Ocean. And that actually happens if you go all the way up to Seattle and all that area, it rains like every day. It rains as if you were in Louisiana, or you're from Natchez, Mississippi. So you understand rain. We grew up with real rain, and it rains like that up in Seattle. But there's some kind of pressure system that sits right over LA and the San Diego area, which gives it blue skies 99% of the time. We never get rain. It's good if you like to ride bikes and go out and run. It's really bad if you try to live here because you're living in a desert that happens to be right on the water.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty unique. Very definitely unique. So fantastic. Well, Vinny, let's jump into some of your story. There's there's so much interesting stuff here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what brought you from Louisiana to Los Angeles?
Well, that's a great tie-in. The truth of the matter is, I was tired of the rain, and if I could be real technical about it, I'd gotten into cycling, and way back then, 30 some odd years ago, and people will not know what I'm talking about, but if your bicycle got wet enough, if you had a high-end bicycle, not like like if you had a race style bike, which is what I was doing, the bearings weren't sealed yet.
Right.
So water would actually, in those old Conagos and Pinarellos and all these bikes we were riding from Italy with the reverse threads and everything, you would have to like pull the bottom bracket apart, and you would have to pull your hubs apart and soak the bearings. They would all fall out. They weren't sealed. And I would drop mine. I would keep a little can of diesel right outside of my shed at my house. And I would drop them in there, and you would have to let them, all the grease and grime fall out. And then you would have to repack them with grease and put them back in again.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Like every week when it rains, you would have to do that. That's not the only reason. Every time I went out for a run, it was raining. When I would try to train my clients, it was raining. But every time I came to visit my friend, Big Daddy Callahan, who had moved here during the Cajun craze when they were pulling every chef out of New Orleans to come to LA to cook blackened fish.
Right.
I would come to visit Big Daddy, and I would bring a bike, and I would take my running shoes, and I would have all of that with me. And I would be out here, and I couldn't find rain. And I was like, oh my God, there's a reason to move to LA. Besides that, I I noticed that there was a problem with childhood obesity 30 years ago. I mean, 25 years ago. Nobody was talking about it then. I saw the rise. I saw what was happening with the kids I was teaching at Newman School. And I knew that this would be a health crisis in this country before anyone was talking about it. And I wanted to get out here and push it. The problem is Hollywood did not want to hear from it at all.
Wow, fascinating, fascinating story. So, why is it that that so much of what we? I mean, on the one hand, we turn on any type of media, and we see health and fitness information. We're sort of bombarded by supposed to be good information. Yet at the same time, we've seen the obesity rate and overweight rate go to where it is now, where we're looking at 2 out of 3 Americans being overweight or obese. What do you think is the 3 causes of this? If you could, 2 or 3 biggest reasons.
Well, the number one reason is money. The number 2 reason is money, and the number 3 reason is money. Health and fitness is controlled by, big companies and people with bottom lines, people who have investors. Coca-Cola, for instance, you wouldn't think that they're in the fitness game, but they are. They own Gatorade and they own, water, Dasani, and
Sure.
I could go on and on. Kellogg's, is a giant company that's making cereal that's going to make you heart healthy and get you in shape. Just eat Special K and you'll get thin, and eat Cocoa Pebbles and you will get 9 essential vitamins, type of thing.
Right.
So I could go on and on for the next 2 hours and talk about how big companies that you don't think is in the health game and fitness game, they're the biggest players. And, the best way to get you to eat anything is to sugar it up because it tastes good and you're going to eat it. And God, if you think it's going to help you, then you've just won the battle. But look at what's happening. We're not getting thinner and more heart healthy. We're getting actually fatter. And, now we have metabolic syndrome and we have fatty liver disease and we have sleep apnea and we have type 2 diabetes. And I could go on for the next 20 minutes with what we have now. And we could thank those companies for it.
Yeah, that is very, very revealing, and that's a point that I think very few people actually probably have heard before, because you sure don't hear that on most of our corporate owned TV stations, do you?
No, you don't. And I mean, even if, people want to be virtuous and they'll go, you know what, I've gained a few pounds. I think I'm going to train myself and I'll run a marathon. And you go, or I'm going to do a triathlon or any of these things, and you'll find out that chocolate milk is now sponsoring these events. They're telling you that chocolate milk is the best thing you can drink after you do these races, which is ludicrous at best and nutty and crazy also at best. But you get what I'm saying, right?
Sure,
it's like,
sure.
And you get your swag bag. I don't know if you run or do any of that stuff, but
I used to. A little bit here and there, but got some bad knees.
Well, you've been to those
I've been
events,
there. Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah, I've organized 10K races myself in an earlier part of my life. And, I know what you mean, the swag bag things, and you get the sponsors. And you know who the first sponsor that comes to, I mean, I was probably involved in, I don't know, 30 or 40 races.
Right.
And Coca-Cola was always the first one that we didn't have, they were ready.
They come to you.
Oh, yeah.
You don't go to them. They come to you. Yeah. I've noticed that too, because I have a lot of friends that put on a lot of races. And, Coca-Cola actually seeks you out in those situations. And then you have companies like Power Bar, which is a sugar product, and Cliff Bar, which is basically a candy also. You have Goo, which is like icing, in a Mylar packaging. It's just on and on and on. And they give you all of this stuff for free. So there's this weird cognitive dissonance that tells you, wait, this must be healthy because the guy who's promoting the race is giving me this, when the guy promoting the race is just trying to make enough money so that the poor guy can put on another race.
Right.
So, that deal,
Oh, yeah.
People ask me all the time, why don't you promote races? Your friend Chris Kosman does. And I went, Chris Kosman goes crazy trying to promote those races.
Yes,
It's like,
it's a heck of a lot of work. I mean, I was doing
yeah,
it as part of a job working for a big hospital-based fitness and sports medicine center. So I had a salary, and so it was fine. But man, it's a lot of work, a lot of details. And Coca-Cola does great. They were great to work with. Obviously, like,
right.
hey, how much Coke do you want? Great. And a few Diet Cokes? Sure. And can we throw in some, this, that, and the other? And they were, it was all part of, they're very, very good marketers, and they understand it was, basically they're being able to represent and get free advertising and associate it with
Absolutely.
these healthy events.
Yeah, and a lot of those events they won't even hide it and try to do the Gatorade thing through Coke. They will give you Coke.
Oh yeah, no, oh, by all means. By all
Yeah.
means. It's yeah, they do it. They are a great marketing machine. That is not no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt at all. So let's transition into something that connects with that, which is there's a debate when we talk about the weight problems in America and in the Western world, because we've sort of transferred our our eating style to all over. In fact, I had a friend who jokes around. He says, if you just send American food into Ethiopia, in 6 months we'll have obesity there.
Absolutely.
You know?
It's the truth.
So why is exercise a horrible way to lose weight?
Well, to suggest that exercise